see, it began, as things tend to, with something that seemed like nothing to start. Something passing for nothing, while really being quite something instead. Something crazy amazing. I'll bet you want to make a note about it even, or write it down on the calendar to look back on later. Look back on later just so you can say, wow. And when you do, you'll remember where it started too. Way, way out in the big woods, there along the main trail, with Curtis and Fergus being as Curtis and as Fergus might ever be. Versed Fergus, Itty bitey odie, mashed potato macaroni. Belly jelly stew and cattail soup, a little for me and a little for you. Put it in the pot and we do gotta do. 1 foot, hot foot, cold foot, 2, itty bitey odie, mashed potato macaroni. Fergus spun around in a little circle. Sometimes you know you got a good one when you do, and that was a good one. And Fergus knew it. He knew it. Honestly, Fergus didn't know what a macaroni was, but he'd read it on a box by the dump and couldn't wait to use it ever since, macaroni. And so he did, dancing a little happier still, that macaroni little bear, Fergus. Curtis laughed and clapped. He knew it too. And Curtis was a good friend, and Curtis would let Fergus have a moment with his moment any time Fergus needed to have one. And so Fergus did, so Curtis did too. And then, with a big Curtis grin, the one he did when he was about to do something you and me might ought want to see, Curtis suddenly stood, spun, and slapped his big foot. Whap! He kicked a rusty can onto the path, Curtis did, across a rock, teetering to one side. Then grabbed an oak branch and peeled the leaves off, hoisting it high like a conductor. Versed Curtis with a grand gesture. EEANIE MINEY OWNIE, tomato, potato, green beanie. Curtis kicked the rusty can, ka-thong, launching it in the air, sailing way high. Versed Curtis, closing his eyes. A bushel, a bundle, a bundle, a basket, task me a task, I'll task it. You have but to ask this task you ask, you have but to ask this task. I'll have it, I'll hold it before you know it, I'll give it, I'll grab it, I'm the bear that can show it. You have but to ask this task you ask, you have but to ask this task. Away I shall go, this task you asked, from first to last, I knows you know, tomato, potato, green beanie, EEANIE MINEY OWNIE, mo, mo, mo. Kitty cat quick, Curtis swung the oak branch in his paws, letting it go at just the perfect time. The branch soared away fast, wha-thong, hitting the falling rusty can into the notch of a nearby pine tree. Curtis gave a big bear bow, and thus so ended the Curtis verse. Yelled Fergus as he giggled and wiggled, "Mo!" And together they shouted, out loud and ears back they sang, turning in circles, wild little bears singing wild songs in the wild. One of the best things about being a little bear, really. Mo, 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 mo. They twirled till they tumbled, falling down and around, all happy. Sometimes you know you got a good one when you do, and that was a good one, and Fergus knew it, and Curtis knew it too. They both just knew it. Just after, noshing on a berry or two they were, walking up the old trail they went, Curtis and Fergus on a day like any other, just up the trail, ambling and rambling and yammering on, when Fergus had a notion, the kind of notion Fergus sometimes had. Said Fergus, all wistful, "Curtis, sometimes I wish I could think about the things I want to think about instead of thinking about the things I'm thinking about." Curtis tossed a berry from behind his back, then caught it in his mouth, all smooth big brother stuff. Fergus tried the same, but his berry bounced off his little Fergus head and into the dust. He picked it up and ate it anyway, because little bears love berries, and that is just that. Said Curtis with a shrug, Fergus, try to not think about the things you'd rather not think about." Well, this just spun Fergus in circles. Not the happy little circles he was spinning before, not the ones a little bear likes, but the big ones, the big tumbly circles that felt like swimming. Said Fergus, rubbing his itchy, twitchy nose. How can I not, Curtis, not think about all the things I'm thinking about? Trying not to be the myth that is me, and all this already on the best day of the week. Okay, for some reason, Fergus liked Tuesdays. Somewhere along the way, Fergus had learned the days of the week. Not that a little bear might ever need to know such a thing, since the sun didn't mind it, and the trees never asked. The honeybees didn't seem to care none neither. But days of the week he'd come to know, and right away, for no reason at all, Fergus liked Tuesdays. And once he really did, like something, Fergus did. And so it was that Fergus liked Tuesdays. Out of all the other days, Tuesdays most of all. Curtis picked up a hank of vine from along the trail, twirling it around, looping it overhead, jump rope hop-stepping as he went. Said Curtis, Fergus, I don't think it matters to a little bear here or there, or a bear anywhere, what day of the week it might be. It's one of the best things about being a bear, you see, said Fergus, making big eyes. How could it not? He couldn't believe this thing that Curtis said. He shook his little bear head. Curtis, said Curtis, double jumping and showing off. Well, no one has ever asked, Fergus, and really, it won't matter until they do. This did little to comfort Fergus, who was just certain that someone was going to come along someday. Someone was, and they were going to walk right up in the middle of the big woods and want to know who was keeping track of what day it was. And Fergus wanted to have answers when they did, and so he did know what day it was every day, especially when it was Tuesday, like it was today. Said Fergus, worrying even more now. Won't they be bad? Maybe, said Curtis, finishing with a fancy kick-step. Maybe not. Well, this didn't make much sense, but try to tell that to it. His head, this Fergus, our Fergus, when he got like this, and it would go on like this, just like this, because this is how it always went. Curtis was always going to be the most Curtis, and Fergus was always going to be the most Fergus. And neither wanted the either to ever be anything other. And since that was the way it was, things would go on and on like this, just like this, always.